GLP-1 medications. I'm Dave Knapp, man on the MOUNJARO. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. On the Pen is the #1 resource online for GLP-1 news, anti-obesity medicine news. If you're not already, jump over to the website onthepen.com, subscribe to email alerts at the bottom of the page. Stay up to date with every update that comes along for these medications. Now, we've been all over the decision, as has everybody. This is huge news. The FDA today having officially ended the shortage. I just want to give you a little bit of context as to where things sit right now. We are at 12:15 Central Time in the afternoon on Thursday, December 19th. And I want to give you a little update on where we're at, and we actually have heard from the OFA. We've got a quote from the Outsourcing Facilities Association, who is running the lawsuit against the FDA on the tirzepatide shortages, and so I wanted to bring that statement from the OFA to you. Of course, if you have not already seen the interview that we had with their chief legal counsel last week, it's worth taking a look at to give you a feel for where they are at and maybe how they will respond moving forward, but the statement will give you some idea as well. Now, some people have reached out to me in the last couple of hours and have asked me, Dave, what can't the judge in that court case just overrule this? And it's not so easy, but this isn't the last word in compounds, and I want to give you a little bit of groundwork. So the OFA sued the FDA back in October when the FDA originally said, sure, tirzepatide is off the shortage list. Now, that basically set off a chain reaction in the courts of the FDA basically punting and kicking the can down the road and saying, we just need more time to determine this, and in the meantime, we're not going to enforce anything. Now, interestingly enough, the OFA went along with it, which I think is a little interesting in hindsight being 2020, because all that really did was give the FDA more time to make calculations, legal calculations on what the best move forward for them was. Because at the end of the day, likely if they would have put tirzepatide back on the shortage list, they would have been sued by Eli Lilly. So pick your battle, right? And so I think this all also goes back to them not really wanting to lose any sort of court case that might challenge their authority to make these regulations. And that goes back to the Chevron doctrine. We've covered that extensively here at On the Pen as well. If you're just joining us, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for breaking news updates on GLP-1 medications. Of course, today's breaking news on the compound tirzepatide issue with the shortages of ZEPBOUND and MOUNJARO, the branded versions, being officially ended by the FDA today. So where does the court case sit today? Well, the FDA came out this morning and basically issued a statement. In that statement, they said, we're doubling down on our original decision from October. Tirzepatide is off the FDA official shortage list. Now, having made that determination, the court issue is sort of separate from this because this was just a press release by the FDA. Interesting note on the press release by the FDA. Speaking to some industry insiders deep in the compound world, it sounds as if the original statement that the FDA put out was retracted a bit. They had initially had language in there about not, and again, this is from industry insiders. I have not verified this information, but if apparently there was some information early on in the press release from the FDA that stated something to the effect of they would not enforce anything if the courts granted a stay in the trial. That language seems to have gone away. And so again, I haven't verified that, but that's what industry insiders were saying who look at this stuff very closely. It seems to be like their position with the court is either go along with us or we'll just do, we'll just enforce. And so I think what's really interesting, what's going to be interesting to see here, and I have no idea legally how this all works, but if the OFA proceeds with their lawsuit against the FDA, the court could, in theory, grant a stay in the compounding issue. And essentially, they could rule nothing happens to the compounds until this court case is decided. Now, I'm not 100% sure on what a court's order how much merit that holds when determining enforcement by a federal agency, that is a question for somebody who has a legal degree. But I think that is an interesting question. Does a court, does a judge have the ability to sort of unilaterally pause enforcement of a federal agency like the FDA? Because ultimately, the enforcement of the FDA is what will stop the compounding. Again, we could get into 503A, 503B. I feel like we've done that ad nauseum on this channel, so I'm operating under the assumption that everybody sort of knows the difference between those two things at this point. So the OFA, so I want to get to this point here, the OFA, the Outsourcing Facilities Association, who has this lawsuit going on with the FDA, which ultimately led to the decision today. I want to read you this statement from the FDA, or the OFA, excuse me. Too many acronyms today, and I'm not feeling well at all. So perfect day, right? And it's on a day where I volunteered to do a lot of extra stuff, so that's always fun too. The Outsourcing Facilities Association, this is a quote, the OFA fundamentally disagrees with the FDA's determination that the Tirzepatide injection product shortage is resolved. The fact of the matter is patients across the nation continue to experience difficulty filling prescriptions for branded Tirzepatide products, and that pharmacy distributors continue to list branded Tirzepatide products as out of stock or available only in limited quantities. That qualifies as a shortage by any definition, and the FDA has never sought comprehensive data on the number of patients relying on compounded Tirzepatide products, information that is absolutely necessary to determine whether the manufacturer's supplies are sufficient to meet demand after an end to a shortage is declared. The agency's decision to declare the shortage over based on the manufacturer's say-so ignores the facts, violates the law, and puts patients' access at risk. Here's the big rub here. The OFA will continue its efforts to hold the FDA accountable for its obligations under law and duty to the patients who depend on it for access to medical treatments, end quote. So this is a really big statement by the OFA, basically validating that they will indeed continue to go after the FDA on this. So I think that's good news for compounders. Sue, the dude said courts reverse major federal decisions all the time. I'm pretty sure a lot of people making comments here. But this is a big statement by the FDA. They will continue litigation. So I wanted to bring that statement to you all because this isn't the last that we'll hear on the matter of compounded Tirzepatide. Of course, I see comments in here, so I'm just going to address it. 503A pharmacies who don't make exact copies of the branded medications can still make their copies or their versions of these medications when there's no shortage, but there has to have a patient need precipitating whatever formulation that they make that is different than the branded. So they take the API, they mix it with something, they take the API, they offer it in a different dose. We've been over this over and over on this channel. That will be able to continue, but will they be able to mass prescribe it? I don't think so. I think eventually you're going to see, here's my prediction for the next few days, right? It's always risky to make predictions. Today, I thought that the FDA would kick the can down the road based upon our conversation with the legal representation for the Outsourcing Facilities Association, who is suing the FDA here. They sounded pretty bullish on no action. Obviously, that's not what happened. They seem to be quite surprised by this move also, but are continuing the litigation. So my prediction for the next couple of days and weeks here on the compound case is that I had a good prediction. I was on a roll, and now it's gone. My brain is foggy today, folks. I have to, and actually I'm going to make a little announcement. Tonight's show, I can't do it. I'm too sick. I've got too much going on. I got to cancel on Z Ritano from Roe is going to come on. We're going to do a whole show. I will announce the winners of the drawings from last week in the community updates on my posts. But between all the work that's going on today, my body's going to give out on me and I can't do it. So we'll get back to it in a week or two here, and I'll keep you updated on what we're going to do. But as far as, the coming days, this is what I was going to say. Thoughts back. Thank you. what I was going to say is that I think you'll see a absolute deluge, a flurry of cease and desist letters from Eli Lilly. They will take this announcement from the FDA and they will pepper providers, compound pharmacies, telehealth companies, because the telehealth companies that will be moving forward with the custom doses and the custom formulations, Lilly's going to have a pretty strong argument that, like, all of a sudden overnight your patients who were taking copies of our versions, all of a sudden they require medically non traditional dosing. All of a sudden they require B12. And so I think they will feel like they have a legal high ground to send out a flurry of cease and desist letters. So what'll be interesting to watch is like how many telehealth companies have a huge appetite for that. A lot of these telehealth companies are startups. They don't have deep pockets to fight somebody like Eli Lilly. It takes a trade organization like the OFA, who's representing many different 503B outsourcing facilities, to sort of come together and do this together. But it's an interesting situation right now. Wanted to bring you this update from the OFA. Sounds like they will continue their litigation. We still have yet to get any filings in the court case today. So we will see what happens with that. I will probably be updating that at onthepen.com. We'll do a full write-up on this. It's why it's important to jump over to onthepen.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and sign up for email alerts, because I don't know if I can do any more videos today, to be honest with you. I am kicked. I somehow have to coach my boys' basketball team this afternoon. It's like 25 third and fourth grade boys. So I think once I get done with that, I'm going to be absolutely kicked. So tonight's show, we're going to postpone it. Sad to do it, but sometimes it just has to be that way when can't really control getting sick. Hopefully I can get better before Christmas here. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part of what we do. Thank you for all your love and support. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button before you go. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already. You know, it's a fun fact, about 60% of the viewers of On the Pen do not subscribe. I would really like to improve those numbers, because I feel like if you're enjoying our content, it would make more sense for you to subscribe because you get more of it. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't, and we will catch you